Good afternoon, Karen. How are you?
I'm not doing so well today.
Okay. Well, before we get started with our session, I just want to go over some housekeeping rules with you. I want to let you know that everything we discuss in our session today will be kept confidential. However, there are some moments or circumstances where I may have to disclose some contents from our session. Those would include any discussions of harm to self or others, any abuse or neglect of an adult, an elderly person, disabled person or child, or if I'm under a court order or subpoena to make that disclosure. Otherwise, everything we say will be kept confidential. Okay?
Okay.
So tell me what brings you here today?
Well, I was in the middle of class because I'm getting my master's degree, and earlier in class I'd gotten a text message from my sister-in-law saying that my husband's mother had just been taken back for a 4-hour procedure. They had to open up a vein in her leg. One of her toes is turning black, and they've determined that she's got a blockage. And she texted me a few hours later to tell me that my mother-in-law refused the surgery, was harsh and abusive to the doctor, and then accused the doctor of poking her. So now my sister-in-law had to take my in-laws back home, and now my mother-in-law is facing the potential of losing her leg.
Okay. So tell me a little more about this medical procedure and how this is affecting the family, how this is affecting your sister.
Well, my in-laws moved from North Carolina to Alabama to be closer to my sister-in-law because my father-in-law is 90, he'll be 91 in September. My mother-in-law is 88 and frail. Her health is declining. And it seems that since they moved to Alabama, which was just this past October, her health has declined so bad, and it's gotten to the point where the big toe on the one foot, the tip of it is turning black. So she's gone through some tests, and the doctor determined that she has minimal flow in the veins in that leg.
Okay.
So she was supposed to go in for some kind of cath where they would just go up the vein and then use a balloon and like pop it open. But she refused it.
Okay, so tell me how your mother-in-law's refusal to get medical attention and the medical care that it appears she needs. Tell me how that makes you feel.
I'm conflicted. I feel angry. I feel angry at her for putting her children through this and her grandchildren. But I'm also scared. I mean, we're looking at a frail 88-year-old woman who potentially is going to lose her leg. And frankly, I'm concerned that she wouldn't make it through the surgery if they did have to remove the leg.
Okay. So on the one hand, I hear your expression of concern for your mother-in-law, that you feel that while she does need medical attention, on the other hand, you're afraid that if she did go through with the procedure, that she may not have had a positive outcome.
I think she would have done well with the catheter to open up that vein. But if she prolongs this and they have to remove the leg, I do not think that she will survive that.
So let's explore a little, because earlier you did touch on the feeling of sadness and also the feeling of anger. So let's explore that feeling of sadness. Tell me what that sadness means to you, what that feels like to you in this moment as you describe this to me.
feeling it like in my chest area. I'm feeling sad for my husband and his two sisters. I know what it's like to lose a parent. I lost both of mine. And I am concerned that if she would happen to pass away, I realize that she's had a good life, but I know what my husband and his sisters are going to go through. Not, facing the loss of their mother, and with the age of his father, I am concerned that it would just maybe even be a matter of weeks or months before he would pass on, because they've been married for over 60 years. So my sadness is for my husband and how he's going to take it if something would happen to his mom or both of his parents.
Okay. So just to make sure that I'm tracking with you, your mother-in-law is elderly and she has this, ailment that is causing her to lose sensation and blood flow to her big toe on one leg. And she had the opportunity to have a medical procedure to alleviate that, yet she chose not to go through with it. And this has brought about some feelings of sadness on your part, because you know what it's like to deal with the loss of both of your parents.
Yes.
And so the sadness that you feel is you don't feel that your husband and his sister would be prepared to handle that loss.
Yeah, nobody knows what it's like to lose a parent until you lose a parent. And my husband and his mother have a difficult relationship. She was abusive when he was growing up, and she can still to this day be abusive, verbally. So my concern is, the loss of a parent, but the loss of a parent that you have a difficult relationship, that can really expound the grieving, and I'm concerned about that. I'm angry with her for being so selfish and not thinking about what her decision is doing to the family.
So I can sense your level of concern, not just the fact that your husband would lose his elderly mother, but that there's some unfinished business that you feel, should that happen at this point, in the near future, that he wouldn't have that opportunity for closure.
Yes.
So it sounds like family is not only important to you, but is important to your husband, and you're looking for an opportunity or would like for them to have some closure in their relationship, so that when that time comes, he's able to deal with it and grieve in a much more productive way.
Yes. I mean, his family has been my family since we've gotten married.
Right.
So, because when I lost my mom and my grandmother, our family kind of split. And so then when I lost my dad, then that separated me from his side of the family. So my husband's family has been my family for 14 years. And so I hate to see what would happen to the family should something happen to his mom, because the sisters have unfinished business with the mom as well.
Okay. So let's explore that second emotion that you touched on. We talked about how, you would feel sad if your husband wasn't able to resolve some of the dynamics that he's had with his mother, being difficult with him, verbally abusive. But then you also express that you feel anger. And you've also disclosed that, this family is now your family. So it's not just the loss that your husband and your sister-in-law would feel, but the loss that you would also feel.
Yeah, I would feel a tremendous loss. If anything happened to either one of his parents, and I'm feeling kind of guilty because actually I would be affected deeper if something happened to his father. But his mom has been super nice to me. I have not had any difficult moments with my mother-in-law.
Okay.
And so to lose that's going to be difficult to take.
So that's an important relationship to you as well.
It is. It is. I value that relationship with her, even though she's not my real mom. She has been very good to me.
And it sounds like she has almost been a replacement mother for you, filling in the role that you've lost both parents, and she's been a good mother-in-law to you,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's filled a void that you had in your life.
Yes, she has. To a large degree, she has filled that void that I had.
Okay. Now, of those two emotions that you were feeling, the sadness on the one hand,
Mm-hmm.
the anger on the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
tell me which of those two feelings is more dominant for you.
The sadness. The sadness is more dominant. I mean, yeah, I'm angry, but I'm more sad. I'm just more sad about. And to on top of that is she is in the first stages of dementia.
Okay.
So not only, is that what led to her pitching a fit, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and refusing the surgery, or was she just being ornery? And the fact that she's forgetting who people are, and she's forgetting things. And she's getting more verbally abusive than she was before she got the dementia. So it's sad seeing someone who was on top of things and rambunctious and got things done to the point where she's at now, and we're talking just within not quite a year that she's diminished to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's sad seeing just how quickly she's gone downhill, especially in the last 6 months.
Okay. So her medical health, her level of health and activity has greatly diminished, and you've noticed a considerable change in who she is, and she's changed. She's not the same mother-in-law that you knew even just a year ago, 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's causing sadness. If you were to rate your level of sadness, with 1 being a low level or no sadness at all, and 10 on this end being extremely sad, where would you be? Tell me where you would be on that spectrum.
I think at this moment, my sadness is probably at a 7, because all I can think about is this is what's going to happen if she doesn't get the surgery, and if my sister-in-law can't talk her into it soon. Right now, at this moment, I'm at a 7 about this.
So right now, you're feeling a 7, thinking about, what could possibly,
Mm-hmm.
what you feel is coming on. You're anticipating almost the worst.
Right.
And so right now, that 7 level that you feel, where in your body do you feel that?
I feel that in my heart, because I love this cranky little woman, and it's going to hurt my heart if something happens to her.
Well, Karen, I do want to thank you for coming in to see me today, and we did, touch on a few things. We came in and you disclosed about your mother-in-law being sick and having to end up in the hospital, where the family was thinking she was going to have a medical procedure to relieve, the lack of blood flow to her big toe. And unfortunately, she has declined that procedure. And that's caused some stress for your sister-in-law, who had to deal with, transporting her back and forth. But you realize in this moment now how much that relationship means to your husband, to your sister-in-law, but also to you, how she's been a good mother-in-law to you. And she's been able to fill some voids in your life. What I'd like you to do between now and the next time that we meet is to continue, or to jot down some of those feelings. As you see her, take some note about what it is that you're feeling in the moments, whether they are sadness or anger, and what is attributable to that sadness or anger.
Okay.
And then we can explore those a little more the next time I see you.